Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for watching our program today. This is uh, Personal Stories of Girl Scout World Centers. So if you weren't aware, Girl Scouts has 5 different world centers. So Girl Scout homes, sometimes they're called, all over the world. And today we're going to hear about every single one of those world centers from people who have visited there. And I'm very excited and very thankful to all our volunteers today um, who agreed to share their experience and give you tips and recommendations on how you could plan a trip to a world center. So the first person we're going to hear from is Lindsay, and she was a volunteer at our chalet. And we're going to pull up pictures. We got lots of really cool pictures for you all to look at. And Lindsay, you could unmute yourself and do introduction as the screen is pulling up pictures.
Perfect. As you said, I'm Lindsay. I'm a lifetime member of Girl Scouts of North Central Alabama. And after my freshman year of college, I was able to go to our chalet and work for 9 weeks as a volunteer there. So it's basically just like being a camp counselor at any other camp, only it's an international one. So that is a picture of me here in my staff uniform on one of our longer hikes. But I'll tell you a little bit about our chalet first, and then I'll tell you how you can get to be a volunteer as well. So our chalet is the very first of the World Centers that was founded. So it's been open since 1932. It was picked in Adelboden, Switzerland. The location was chosen because they wanted a place where girls could have some high adventure, but also just have a place to relax, meet other Girl Scouts and Girl Guides from around the world, and learn from each other. So Adelboden, Switzerland is a small, mostly agricultural town for most of the year. It does turn into a tourist town during the ski season because some of the big national competition ski slopes are there. But when I was there during the summer, there were just cows roaming. Most of the people who were around you were farmers. So it's a very small, close-knit community high up in the mountains. So to get there, you have to do a lot of walking. The bus that drops you off can only go so far. So the very first thing that you get to do when you get to our chalet is climb up this very, very big hill. Doesn't matter how tired you are from traveling, you're putting on your boots and starting to walk up that hill. So it's a lot of work to be there. Even the people who live there walk to get to the grocery store and just bring their backpack and load it up with groceries. A lot of walking and a lot of hiking. So to get to be a volunteer, there are a couple of different routes that you can take. If you only have a short period of time, you can be a short-term volunteer, and they just let you come for however long you have, do whatever work you can do, and then leave. You can be an intern for a season, which is usually 12 weeks, and those people get to pick one specialty. So they might be the marketing intern or the kitchen intern and things like that. Or you can do what I did. I was an our chalet assistant, and we did a variety of different work. So half the time I was working in housekeeping. So I was cooking in the kitchen. I was cleaning all of the rooms that people stayed in and making sure that all of their needs were taken care of. And the other half of the time I was doing program. So leading the hikes, that was the main thing that we do. Of course, you're in the beautiful mountains, you hike a lot, but there's also some trips that you can take into different cities and even to a castle. You get to spend a day touring a castle nearby. So there's a lot of really cool program that you get to work on. And as a volunteer, you get to do all of that for free because you're working. All of the admission into all of the things that you do is paid for. Your housing is paid for and your food is paid for. You have to cook your own food some of the time, but it's still paid for. So all you have to do is get there, which can be a little daunting if you're coming from the United States. I worked with people who were mostly from Europe already, so traveling is a little easier for them than it is for us. So there is a long visa process for you to get to be a volunteer. So get started really early if you're interested in it. And then you have to fly into Zurich, take 2 trains to get you to Frutigen, one of the nearby larger towns, and then a bus into Adelboden. There's a lot of traveling. You'll get to see every possible way of getting around that you can do. And then you get to be in a beautiful, beautiful place like that. It felt like I was in a Disney movie every day when I woke up and looked out the window, and it looked like that. Absolutely gorgeous. So while I was there, like I said, I worked with a lot of different European Girl Guides. My summer, all of us happened to be native English speakers, which made the communication very easy, but that's not always the case. They've had volunteers from Algeria and Mexico and all over the world. And then different guests that will come in and do the program are also from all over the world. So we had people from Denmark, Germany, Japan, lots of different groups from Canada, lots of different groups from England. And they all just come here to learn. So if you are interested in being a volunteer, get ready to work. That is one really big thing that you need to know. You do get to do a lot of very exciting things, but our days were pretty long. Sometimes, even if we're leading evening hikes like this picture here, your day might not end until 10 o'clock at night, and you've been working with a couple of short breaks since 7:30 or 8 a.m. So the days get very long, but you're surrounded by the most beautiful scenery in the world, and on your days off, you can do whatever you want. So this is a picture of me. I'm at the top there, and we just took a day off to climb up a waterfall and hike. On days off, you can do whatever you want, travel anywhere that you can get to in a day. I even got to take a 3-day trip when I had 3 days off in a row to Italy. So it's a really great way to get to experience more of the world, because they really are supportive of volunteers who want to use their days off, not just to relax, but also to learn more about the world. And you get to immerse yourself in some Swiss culture there. That was Fritz, our alpine horn player, who would come about once a week, and you could hear that from miles away. No matter where you are, when that alpine horn started playing, it just echoed through the mountains and you could hear it. Yeah.
Oh, that's the last for our chalet. So for anyone who is planning a trip, wants to plan a trip to our chalet, do you have any tips or recommendations for just a trip, not volunteering?
Yeah, sure. So in my work, I kind of got to see how other people plan their trips and how the reservation process works. Most of the people who were there had planned their trips years in advance, which matters so that you get your spot in the program that you want, but also there is a lot of physical activity, so you kind of need to know that you're going on this trip well in advance so that you can get ready for the high intensity hiking and program that you do. So on the WAG's website, each of the World Centers has all of the programs. I think they go all the way out to 2022 now. You can see what programs will be offered then. Find one that strikes your fancy, and then the booking process through them is pretty simple. And they have a packet with all of the information that you could possibly need as to where you need to fly into, how you need to get around after that, and if you are coming for a longer thing, what the visa process is. So I didn't really plan mine like a standard trip, but overall, if you just look at that WAG's website, do your research and find as much as you can before you book it and before you go. A lot of it is pretty straightforward. You can find that information online.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you.
Shall we move on to, this is Ashley, I believe.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Ashley. I work for the Girl Scouts of Greater Chicago in Northwest Indiana. And within my role, I'm a program manager specifically for cultural awareness and travel types of programs. And I'm going to talk about two of the world centers today, but starting with Sangam. And Sangam is located in India, and I took a destination there, hosted a destination there in last summer, so in 2019. We had 12 girls from throughout the US join that destination. Just as a little background to destinations, girls apply as individuals, and they have to be accepted into those specific trips. And there's destinations all throughout the US and internationally. And the girls that joined us, you can see in the picture here that joined us, there were some girls from our council, and then councils from all throughout the US joined us. We had 3 chaperones, and then everyone came to Chicago first, and then we flew out to, we had a layover in Dubai, and then took another flight over to Mumbai in India, and then from there took a really long bus route over to Sangam. We got stuck in a parade. That's a whole nother story, but we got stuck in a parade, and it took us like twice as long as it should have to get there. So Sangam is located in Pune, India, and it's one of the largest cities in the country. There's about 3 million people that live just in that city alone. When we went, we were there in July, or June and into July, and that's actually monsoon season. It rained sort of on and off throughout the time that we were there, but actually the fact that it was raining was a little bit helpful because it meant that it cooled off the temperature a little bit. After we went to Sangam, which I'll keep talking about it, but after we went there, we went to Delhi and Agra, and it was over 100 every day. So in Sangam, it was closer to like 85 or 90, which is better than 100. And so it is quite hot, but also really important to note that when you're going to India, you do have to be quite conservative. So you can conservatively dress. You can see all the girls in this picture here all have their knees covered and their shoulders covered. It's a requirement when you leave Sangam, that they request that everyone, I should say it's a request, not a requirement, but just to keep in touch with the cultural norms, is that you do have your shoulders covered and your knees covered at all times. At Sangam, we took part in all sorts of really fun activities. So there was visiting temples, learning how to take tuk-tuks or a rickshaw. So we did it once with the Sangam staff, and then we were off on our own, and there were only 3 chaperones. So some of our older girls who were seniors were leading some of our smaller groups too. This is us on that bus that we were stuck on for many, many hours. A really small bus, really limited air conditioning, and all of our suitcases were in there too. So it was an adventure for sure. Let's see, we also learned some Bollywood, and we had to spend a lot of time connecting as a group. And so we, as we were there during one of Sangam's specific programs, there were girls from Canada and the US. So it wasn't totally a diverse crowd, but we still got to meet girls from other places in the US, which was really great. And so when we were at Sangam, the food is amazing, like the best food in the world. There's a time every day for chai time. So I think it's 4 o'clock and you get chai, and they make like little cookies or just like some leftovers from dinner the night before. And it's a really nice time. It's, I think this is true at most of the World Centers, but you just get to eat all the time at the World Centers. So there's always food around. Let's see, I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. So that's specifically about Sangam. I can talk a little bit about the price too. So the participants paid about $2,500 to go on this trip, but the cost was a little bit closer to $3,500 because we're destination and the Juliet Low World Friendship Fund actually gives a stipend back to the Girl Scout Council or to the organization that's hosting it. And it's specifically that Juliet Low World Friendship Fund does have to be for destinations that are going to a world center. And for Sangam, we were really lucky. We got $1,000 per person. Sometimes it's $500. When I've led destinations to other world centers, it's been $500. So that's why the cost of our trip actually was less. And so after Sangam, we did go to Delhi and to Agra. And Delhi, we took a tour through New Delhi and Old Delhi, which was on a rickshaw and also a bus. So a rickshaw was, in this example, was a person, they were biking and we were sitting in the back of that bike, and saw lots of temples and different markets. And then in Agra, we went to the Taj Mahal, which was amazing. One of the best, most exciting things I've ever seen. And we also went to the Red Fort in Agra, and we did go to an elephant sanctuary. So a couple of pictures ago that Renee had showed, we decided that we really would like to go to this elephant sanctuary. And so they are helping to do some conservation work with elephants and all sorts of different animals. There's the Red Fort right there. So let's see. So some of my favorite memories from this trip, there's so many of them. It was just a really wonderful 2 weeks that we spent. And of course, the Taj Mahal is amazing. So if you're ever going to India, you shouldn't miss the Taj Mahal. At Sangam, there is yoga every morning. So I am a yogi. It's something that I enjoy doing outside of working out Girl Scouts. But they have yoga almost every morning. So it was a really great way to start the day. It is a place that I've never been before, so it's really great to be able to explore something new. And one of my other favorites was, of course, chai time. Can't fault that. I came back with a bag of tea and have been and made it for like the next couple of weeks when I got home. Yeah, and there's lots of just great pictures, and thanks, Renee, for going through all of those. You can just see we did so much on this trip, and I'm sorry I sent you so many pictures of our trip because I just couldn't stop. So just a couple of pieces of advice if you are planning to go to Sangam is there's a little bit of culture shock, so prepare yourself that India itself in Sangam is really different than any of the other world centers. So it's just knowing that it's different than the US and where you live now. If you're watching this somewhere in the US, it is quite different than anywhere that you've probably ever traveled within the United States. It's important to pack modest clothing and know that it is quite hot. So even though you're looking at doing modest clothing, also just think about sort of like the fabric that you're wearing because it's going to be hot. And just know that there's no need to wear makeup or have cute hair because it's just, you're going to sweat a lot. That's about what I wrote down. But Renee, do you have any questions or anything else I can explain? I know there's lots of pictures going on here.
Yeah, if you just want to talk about what's in the pictures. Well, what's this building here? The colorful pink pastel.
Yeah, great. So this is outside of Sangam, and this is actually a temple. So temples in Asia in general are just really different and beautiful, and unlike a lot of buildings that you'll see throughout the US. And so this is a Hindu temple. So this is actually, when you walk outside of Sangam, there's an overpass a little bit down the way. And we were standing on the overpass. So that's that overpass right there. And then you can see it's really quite busy. A lot of cars, a lot of people, a lot of motorcycles around. That's an easiest way for people to be able to get around from place to place. And there's absolutely no traffic laws that anyone follows. So there's just people everywhere, and you just have to we learned how to cross a road in India, which seems crazy because I live in Chicago, and we cross the road and there's lots of people here, but it is just unlike anything you'll ever see in Chicago. So this picture that's on the screen here, you can see a little bit down below that there's actually a pool down there. So Sangam does have a pool. It's pretty new. And the building in the background, that is actually some of the accommodation. But the girls are up there on the rooftop of the water tower. So they've got one morning, as long as the weather's okay, there's a limited number of people, but they can climb up to the top of that water tower. I did not partake. I was actually doing yoga at that time. But yeah, that was a cool scene that's there. That's our whole group. Those are the shirts that we wore. And that was within the opening ceremony that day.
What is the opening ceremony like?
So it's where you get to just meet all of the different people that work at Sangam. There's different program people that you're working with. So they have people all from throughout the world. There are many of the women that work at Sangam are locals, and they're from India. So it's really helpful to have people there because they know the language and they're helping you to get around. They, are cooking and the cleaning staff. But then there's also people that work there from other countries as well. So Australia, and I think it was Scotland that one of the people was from. And so just we got to meet other people that were, and of course the other participants too were there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is the end of Sangam. Let's move on to our Cabana. Amy.
All right, hi, I'm Amy Pennington. I am a volunteer from the Girl Scouts of Western Oklahoma, and I'm going to talk to you about our Cabana, which is located in the city of Eternal Spring, or Cuernavaca, Mexico. It's about 2-hour bus ride south of Mexico City, which is where you would fly into. When you pull up, it reminds me of a prison from the outside. It has a big cement wall with barbed wire on the top of it, and you're like, what in the world is this? But once you walk through the door, it's like this beautiful oasis. There's gardens, and the buildings are really pretty. It's beautiful. You don't even notice the wall around you. So our Cabana has been open since 1957. And when we went in 2008, we were there over spring break, and it happened to also be Easter. So we did an Easter session. We got to visit local cathedrals in several different cities. And so this is the Pope. This was Easter Mass. He had also done a wedding, a funeral, and a baby dedication all that morning before Mass happened. So we got to witness all of that. Let's see. They have a pool. They also have a craft house where you can spend your free time doing lots of crafts that are all Mexican related. We had Girl Guides and Girl Scouts from the US, Canada, England, Australia, and Mexico. So it was quite diverse. Most of us spoke English. One of my favorite memories is making friends with the Girl Guides from Mexico, because, even though we had this language barrier and none of us could communicate, we still had a lot of laughs. It was quite entertaining trying to talk with them. Here we are in the dining hall at Cabana. We used to get served all authentic Mexican food. So I think, we had cactus one day, and for breakfast you have tons of fresh fruit that's all grown on the grounds of Cabana. So there was pineapple and bananas and all kinds of stuff. It was really delicious. And it's definitely not the Mexican food that we think of. We didn't have tacos and fajitas, chips and queso. It was completely different, which was really cool. We did get to visit several cities. One of them is Taxco. And they create silver. And there are several shops around the city that actually make the world pin in silver, and so you can purchase those. Here we were actually at a we had a fiesta, so everybody dressed up for the fiesta. We had made a piñata earlier in the week, so we got to smash the piñata. We had tamales. They had a mariachi band, so it was quite a fun little evening that we had. Let's see what else. We did do a community service project while we were there. They brought in local kids from underprivileged areas of Cuernavaca, and they came in and we played. Each group had a different activity that we were asked to provide. So we provided team building games. So our group came up with the ideas of doing like the human knot, ball toss, caterpillar, and some other fun games. And other groups did like crafts or other activities with the kids, and we did like a round robin thing. Then we fed them lunch, and then in the afternoon, it was just kind of like a big recess. We got to go play on the tennis courts and the volleyball courts. We had jump ropes. We had soccer balls. We could play with tag. Just had a lot of fun with the little kids. There was probably about 100 kids that came. So it was quite a big deal, but it was a lot of fun just getting to spend time with them and brighten their day a little bit. Let's see, what else do I have? If you're planning a trip to Cuernavaca or to Cabana, it cost us about $2,000, maybe a little more, anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000. That was for the all-inclusive event, which was, I believe, 10 days long, and then the flights as well. It is probably one of the cheaper world centers to get to since it is so close to the US. So we did plan for about 2 years before going, just to earn all of the money. Then it's really easy to book. You just go to the WAG's website and find the session you want, and you can book your session that way. They have really awesome ones like the monarch butterflies, and you can do stuff with sea turtles and Day of the Dead and all kinds of like really cool cultural activities to learn about Mexico. Here we are with a bunch of kids from the community service project. And that's all I have. Oh, this is the craft house. And they have all kinds, like I think we had one, she's over there doing bead art, and then we have painting and all kinds of fun things that you can make in there. And here's our whole group, all the Girl Guides and Girl Scouts that we met while we were there. And on the sides are in the white are the staff members, and they were also from all over. We had England, New Zealand, and I think Argentina as well was in there. So we had quite a diverse staff as well. This was part of International Night. Each group is asked to bring something and share with everybody about where they're from. So since I'm from Oklahoma, we were singing the song Oklahoma. And Renee, do you have anything else? Nope.
No, that's good. That was really great information, very helpful about planning. So yeah, thank you, Amy. And Diane, you are next with Kusafiri, and I'm very excited to hear about Kusafiri because not many people have been there. So
yeah, well, Kusafiri is really, really special. It's the newest of what's called the World Centers, but it's not really a home. It's not really one center. Rather, it's places throughout Africa that you go to train. So Kusafiri in Swahili means to journey or to travel. And the purpose of Kusafiri really is special. It's set up and it's put together for mostly young women leaders of Africa. the way you can attend QSAFIRI is different from the other world centers. You have to apply through GSUSA for specific programs. That's one way to do it. Or you could attend as an older scout, which generally means you're older than 18, 19, or 20. So you have to be an adult to attend a QSAFIRI event. Because in the rest of the world, basically, scouting doesn't end at the age of 18. It goes all the way up to maybe 30. And so what you will do is be able, if you're a younger scout, which is still generally over the age of 21, you're able to attend these events. So there are two tracks you can attend a QSAFIRI event. QSAFIRI, first of all, is located in a variety of different countries in Africa. So it isn't, as I said before, a fixed home. Rather, it's kind of an image. It's kind of a concept that is used to train young women in Africa. The QSAFIRI events I've been to are 3 of them, and I was going to go on a 4th one if we're not in this circumstance right now. The 3 I had attended was in Madagascar, and Rwanda, and Uganda. And then I should have gone to one in Ghana in July until what happened now. These pictures that you're going to see are generally events that occur during the QSAFIRI training sessions. So what kind of trainings occur? Us at GSUSA can apply if you're an older scout, or I'm going to say a young woman, by attending certain trainings where you're with young women of the same age all around the world. Generally, those women are from the ages of 21 to 30. And we learn different programs. For instance, Stop the Violence training, leadership training, or in this case, we were in Madagascar, and we did something called Arts for Change. In other words, how does that country use their artistic base to advance young women and girls, and even older women, into having careers for themselves? This was at a camp, actually, in Madagascar, and we were being taught various songs. And it was just wonderful. And as you can look across, there are women and younger girls from all over the world. So it's really an international immersion, and it's extremely special. In the background, do you see in the background, there's a little hut? They actually had some farmers from the area bring in some crops that they were going to sell to us. And what it is of tradition is that you buy some produce, you buy some honey, you buy some watermelons and some squash, and you give it back to the community as a gift. So it's a really special way to engage with them, support them, and yet you're not going to take a pumpkin or a squash home. You give it back to them so they can eat it with their families. These pictures are also really important because you see the level of care that the girls from that country give to their own Girl Scouts. These are young children in this picture. And this is a camp, and they will come fully dressed in this beautiful uniform every time that they come to the camp. They're very, very proud. And traditional learning, like Girl Scouting, is a really important part of their life experience because the school systems there may not be very good, and Girl Scouting and Girl Guiding provides that support. So when we go to different countries, this one's also in Madagascar. When you go to different countries, they're very excited to show you the cultural aspects. So you'll have parties, you'll have experiences, again, exactly what others have talked about, that international night where you bring your experience forward. But beyond that too, there's a lot of training that goes on. And one or two of the trainings are very special because it's incredibly insightful for Americans to attend an international conference on the Africa region or on the African continent to understand that problems that African young women have are very similar to problems that we have here in the United States. The only thing is they don't have the resources we have. So it's really important to understand the world from their perspective, but then also understand we basically all got the same problems. Traveling to that area is also very special. For you as a young woman to attend, this is, by the way, this picture is of a metalworking shop. The women and men who work here are deaf. And what's really special is this place brings the families in. So it isn't just the men or the women come to work. The families come together, the children help out, And then there's a school right on that campus. And there are programs for the adults to learn to read, adults to learn to write, and they work as part of their arrangement as well. It's a really wonderful not-for-profit. In this case, it's also in Madagascar. And as you can see, there's children helping their moms or their dads with their projects. So let me just talk about how you can attend a QSAFIRI event. You can, first of all, keep your eyes open to GSUSA's website for international opportunities. When you matriculate out of scouting into adult scouting, out of Girl Scouting into adults, that's the best time to be involved, because to travel internationally, and especially to QSAFIRI, you need to be an adult. You have to be over 21. You can attend some other events with a parent or an adult, but that's a different sort of event, and that's the Arts for Change that I talked to you about. This model's only been in existence for a few years. You'll find QSAFIRI popping up in various countries in Africa, and you'll find that the venues are different in every one. So you might be going potentially to Ghana, or you might be going to Kenya, or you might be going to South Africa. The cost is kind of impressive. It's a lot of money. But if you're selected to represent GSUSA in one of these events, and you are selected, they pay for it. So generally, it's your job to stay on top of this so that you get your name into these profiles, so that you might be a candidate to be selected to these very special programs. If you want to just attend as somebody my age, an adult, you can look for the Arts for Change or these special programs that go along with the training. That one, there's no funding for you. You have to fund it yourself, and the cost to Africa as well as the program can be upwards to $3,000. So it's a different space. And you'll find that you're mostly with women that are over the age of 25 or 30 that are looking for an additional experience in travel in their life. I'm a volunteer for Girl Scouts. I'm a Global Action Volunteer Coordinator. So I keep my ear to the ground a lot on these programs. And I happen to be a friend of QSAFIRI through WAG. So I'm just particularly involved in QSAFIRI. If you're very interested in these programs, please contact me. I'm sure that Renee can give you my contact information. But you might have a Global Action Volunteer at your council as well, and they might be able to help you with understanding how to get into and be involved with QSAFIRI programming. Are there a couple more slides, Renee?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
this one.
Okay, is there a couple more after that or no? Oh, there we go. There, I just wanted to show you. This is another program. This was painting. This was the Arts for Change painting one that we did for them. That's in Uganda. Are there any other ones? Because I want to talk about Stop the Violence. Oh, there's the painting one again. This is wonderful. Okay. I don't know whether you know this, but there are 4 official languages in the WAGS world, in the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts world. English is one of them. It's also French, Spanish, and Arabic. So when you attend these conferences, they're quite formal. And you might even be given a set of headphones, because you might have to have whatever's being spoken translated to your language. It's kind of like being in the UN. This is a special picture because it's showing all of the mix of people that we had in another event that was called Stop the Violence, and that was in Rwanda. And it was a training program, again, for older women and, women that are above the age of 21. So go to the next picture. You see in the background the Stop the Violence posters, and you're parceled up into groups of people where you're given active work. It's a working, learning environment. And these people, these young women, are all discussing an item or a topic that's of interest to them. You might see in some of these, as you can see, there's headphones on the table. They might be translating in real time English to Arabic, Arabic to Spanish, Spanish to French. So it's really an international experience, not just from the topics, but from the way that you communicate with each other. So is there a next slide on this?
Nope. Next.
No. Okay. All right.
English.
Well, if you have more questions, please get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to help.
For sure. Thank you, Diane. Okay, back to Ashley, and she's going to talk about PAX Lodge.
Okay, hello again. So I am here to chat about PAX Lodge. I've actually been to all of the World Centers except for Kusafiri. So someday, Diane, I'm going to end up there. But for this specific piece of the talk, I'm going to talk about PAX Lodge. And PAX is located in London, if you couldn't tell by the pictures, with the Tower Bridge back behind there. I've actually been to PAX Lodge 3 different times. So once I went in 2013, I was there on just a personal visit, and I had just started working at Girl Scouts. So they took me on a tour and I got to walk around PAX Lodge. And then in 2014, I hosted a camping in the UK trip, where we actually attended a jamboree called Wings. That trip was supposed to happen again in 2020, but because of where we are in the world, it did get moved to 2021. So just as a little plug for Wings, it's camping on the lawn of Windsor Castle. There's like at least 5,000 people that are there. So it was quite an operation to have to reschedule it from the Girl Guides in the UK to have to do that. But excited about that for 2021. So if you're looking for some sort of travel for then, it's an option. And then in 2018, I also led a trip that was called Intro to Travel, and it's for cadets, and it's teaching them how to travel. So we that was our first one, and we took it to London and stayed at Pax Lodge there. So PAX is not like any of the other world centers in that it is more of a place to stay versus like having all these really great programs. So our Chalet, Sangam, and our Cabana, you'll go there and you're usually there for 7 to 10 days, something like that. And they have a program set up for you. There's all these volunteers that are there, and they're helping you do the different programs, learn about the culture, and go to different sites that are off-site from the World Center itself. But PAX is, I like to equate it a little like a hostel. Yes, they do have activities. There's patches that you can earn, and they'll help you to book activities and things to do in London. But specifically, PAX is more so about, I would say, like this place to stay, and you can plan your own adventure. And it's really great because London is such an easy and accessible place to go as a traveler. And so there are all sorts of like activities to do in London, whether you're going to somewhere like Buckingham Palace that's being shown here. We did the London Eye to Stonehenge. We did so many different things. We went up to Warner Brothers Studio. We spent some time in Bath. One of the groups in 2018 actually did their bridging ceremony across Tower Bridge. So that first picture that was there. So they were going from 8th grade to they were bridging to seniors. And so there's all sorts of, just London is full of amazing and fun things to be able to do. And so PAX is really great because it is located near public transportation. And so it's so easy to get around London. As soon as you are able to get from the airport over to PAX Lodge, from there you can take buses. It's really close to the tube, to the train line that's there. And it's just like very accessible. It's not right in the center of things, which is nice. But there's like cute little like neighborhood around PAX that you can go to. One of my groups was really excited that there was a Starbucks within walking distance. I mean, I don't know, you don't go to London to go to Starbucks, but almost every troop or group I've ever taken on a trip, they've always gone to Starbucks. I don't get it, but this is the thing. And so, yeah, so let's see, yeah, I think in general, like that is like the main thing about PAX is that it's in London. It's such a great place to be able to go and do lots of sightseeing. It's really accessible to you, for those of us that English is our first language that are watching this, that London is really easy to get around. Public transportation makes it quite great. And PAX also does have some programs that you can do there. So they had a virtual, or we did like a little campfire one night. And they have programs and patches. We did like a Harry Potter patch one day, and went to different spots around London that all had to do with Harry Potter. Yeah, so it's just like a different version of one of the World Centers. But there are girls that stay at that World Center from all around the world. So it's, Girl Guides and Girl Scouts are staying there from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about Nando's?
Yeah. So apparently, Nando's is, well, it's here in the US now, but this picture is from 2014. And it apparently, this was when One Direction was still together, I think. I don't really know about them, but apparently this was like a restaurant that they loved, and that we went on a search for a Nando's, and so here it is. But you can go in the US too.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
some
big
in
deal,
Chicago.
from
Yeah.
what I understand.
This picture was taken on the Thames, the river that runs through London. It was part of, we did a big bus tour, and with that you get a free river boat ride. So it's a cool addition to it. This is actually taken to M&M's World. It looks like it's a bus, which is why she took the picture. But if you look up at the top by the M5, it says M&M's World. There's like a giant M&M's store there. I've been to it twice on both of the trips I took Girl Scouts there. It's also a place to go. Starbucks and M&M's World.
Yeah, that is the last picture, actually. So, yeah, thank you everybody, to the four of you, for sharing. I learned a lot, actually, and hopefully we have all inspired Girl Scouts to explore a world and try to get to a world center. I just wanted to mention the WAGS website, waggs.org, is a really good website to go to explore. See that website for all the world centers, and I think Lindsay talked about a packet that you can get. Like there's tons of information. There's packets on those websites. There's tons of information about costs and booking, and so you can get all that information on the WAGS website. So definitely check that out if you're interested, or reach out to your council if you have questions as well. So I think that's it. So yeah, thanks for attending.